call the meeting to order. Before we start, do we just have a moment of silence for the folks in Las Vegas? Just remember them and lift them up. Thank you. Let the record reflect all council members are present. And we will start with our monthly reports, moving with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report covering the time period of August, just some of the highlights from the report. We've got, we had 55 code inspections. We wrote 26 permits. We had 12 new business licenses. 8 businesses closed. Some of those were name changes, so they offset each other. Major ongoing project is Arby's, which they're hoping to open in the next week or so. We continued receiving payments for 2017 business licenses, and I think we finally got the last payment for those last week. And we've already started getting payments for 2018 business licenses as well. We were also processing for the first time some personal transportation vehicle registrations. I think we're up to about 12 of those, 10 or 12. City Marshal removed 22 signs from the roadway. He wrote 69 repair cleanup orders. He investigated 7 utility tampering cases and issued 8 citations. The Planning Commission in that time frame heard the annexation rezone request for 1050 and 1054 Good Hope Road. Recommended approval for that, and it was obviously, as you know, tabled until November for council's consideration. And behind the report is the list of demolitions and cleanup. If you have any questions on any of that, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Patrick? Okay. Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Electric Telecom, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Kilowatt hour usage for electric has tracked with budget for the past couple of months, which is still below average for this year over last. Telecom is seem to be making more sales on the fiber side, and I'll update you on some of that in a minute. But TV is still dragging us a little bit. And I sent y'all all an email earlier about the negotiations on retrans, and that is not looking good. So I'll keep you updated as that moves forward. First item of interest was Hurricane Irma. I could be happier how we came through it if it hadn't happened at all, but at the height we had a little over 2,200 meters off, and it's the first time I've ever went to bed with a breaker operated or locked out. We couldn't, starting about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we couldn't work. So we got up the next morning, got everybody back on, 95% of the system back up by Tuesday afternoon. And then by Wednesday, we were out helping Walton EMC and the city of Griffin. Fiber to the X project, we got the cabinet set today and powered today. The fiber will be connected to it sometime later in the week, and then we will have a technician from the manufacturer come out and start the unit up. So I'm happy with that. It's moving forward very quickly. We finished our pad mount inspection for the year. That is the yearly inspection for all of our underground, or 20% of all of our underground electric devices. We came through, only had to replace 1 device this year, which is pretty good. We started off, when we first started this about 8 years ago, we were replacing 15-20% every year, mainly because of leaks, old devices, but we've got all those old devices out of the system, and now we're just having the maintenance issues, which is a good time. I'll take any questions you may have.
Don't have a question, but just a comment. As I've said, pass on to your employees what a wonderful job they did restoring electricity. We could be like a town 10 miles down the road and been off for 4 or 5 days. So
let me make a comment on that. I was personally requested by some citizens of Social Circle, and I want to get how that works. We have a mutual aid agreement with all the EMCs. We have a mutual aid agreement with all the cities, and we have a mutual aid agreement with Georgia Power through Electric Cities of Georgia. But Georgia Power has to initiate the request. So they would have to call ECG and then ECG would call us, and we would have been more than happy to go down, but we were never called.
Okay,
So,
thank you for clearing that up.
all right, thank you.
Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of points of note from the monthly report. Cash balances to date are just a little over $35 million through August. Actually, at the end of August, too, our stabilization fund has not been borrowed against, which means we're in a good fiscal position based on current cash flows. On the tax side, tax bills were actually mailed out on August 15th, and we're expecting the bulk of the tax funds to be remitted to us by sometime late November. And then some of the points of interest under the budgeted numbers. The general fund right now, revenues exceed expenditures. It's 64% revenue, 58% expenses. The combined utility fund revenues exceed expenses 71% to 52%. And on the solid waste fund side, the revenues are at 72% and expenses are at 55%. And I'll be glad to take any questions.
Any questions?
Danny, are you 100% complete with your pickups?
Well, I have a little, something I want to say about it.
Okay.
Okay. While we're in finance, and this is a question for both Chris and Brian, how long is it going to be before we have a total of what that hurricane cost the city?
Don't know. I told
100%
Logan
sure.
we'd given our numbers in.
Okay.
Because mainly most of ours, just to get you what our costs were, most of our costs were labor. We only had 2 broken poles and about 10 or 12 broken cross arms, and then a bunch of wire on the ground. Well, that wire, you just splice it back together and hang it back up. So it's really not a lot of cost on my side.
Yeah, I think from a city standpoint too, I think we're looking at the numbers from Monday, Tuesday through Wednesday, because 90% of the crews from streets to solid waste, electric, utilities, all were in the field cleaning up the town. So all of that's going to come into play too when you get into a labor and equipment.
And then by
standpoint.
Wednesday, about 75% of my crews were off our books. They were on somebody else's books.
Okay.
So it's part of my guys were getting paid for by EMC, and then part of my guys were getting paid for by the city of Griffin. I only had about 25% of the staff here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay.
So we can get that answer for you by next meeting.
Okay, good deal.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Logan. Go ahead, chime in.
I was just going to say we are still compiling that for GEMA and FEMA purposes as well. So hopefully we can add that to the Walton County tally, whereby we may be subject for reimbursement.
Okay, good. Thank you. Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire department handled 220 calls. Most of those calls, again, were med assist, EMS calls. During the hurricane night, during that 24-hour period, the fire handled 60 calls. And of course, as with the winter storm we had, the operations center, rejuvenating center, for the people working, was very successful. Real proud of the folks that participated in that. Had 6 public relations events, conducted 178 hours training, done 22 building inspection, had 6 arson inspection. Pending your questions, sir.
Okay. Police department.
Police department answered 3,212 calls in August. Of significance, we had 1 homicide in August. Individual has been arrested and charged in that homicide. We had 1,895 calls to the PD. Had 410 court cases adjudicated in this August versus last August. There was 134 court cases adjudicated. Citations in August was 331 versus 181 for August of 16. Arrested 91 adults, 6 juveniles. 97 Part 1 crimes, had 38 Part 2 crimes. The police department on that same night, and it's wild how these calls work, but there was 243 calls answered by MPD, that 24-hour block. That's just a massive amount of stuff going on. Some of it storm related, a lot of it not. All these numbers come from the 911 center in comparison. It's real strange for us to answer more. Really, when you total them up, we had more calls probably than all law enforcement agencies combined in the city or in the county. We just had a lot going on that night. 186 calls for the SO, 62 for Loganville, and 70 for Social Circle, because Social Circle got hammered real bad by that storm. So you can see the community relations events pending your questions, sir.
Keith, you made a comment comparing, I think you said citations compared to this month last year.
Yeah.
It was about double.
Right. Close to it.
And those are not necessarily crimes, but rather citations that we
Those
issue?
are everything from seat belts, speeding tickets, disorderlies will be in there also.
Is there any reason you can think of why we'd have twice as many this year as we did last year?
Well, the mayor and council done some changing, and with some positions, I think it had an effect. I think officers have been very proactive in the last 6 to 8 months. So I just want to point that out, and it's also something that's always in your documentation, that's in your reports that you can review and see what's going on. You know, you get a thing that shows that comes from the 911 center, which breaks down each of those calls every month. It indicates in August there was 265 traffic violations. So those other citations would be something other than traffic.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? Okay, thank you. Solid waste.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our collection and disposal tonnage was up in the month of August. We also replaced over 100 garbage carts, replaced them and delivered them. So we're trying to get all the bad ones off the route. Delivered 8 dumpsters. Of course, we picked up over 245 tires, scrap tires, over a little over 5 tons. And I do have a report on the storm cleanup. We actually had an additional 89 man hours that was used, and over 746 cubic yards of yard waste, or 112 tons. And that was only from a period of September 15th through up until Saturday. That's not including the daily pickup. So I'll take any question you might have. And I anticipate us really getting back on schedule within 2 weeks.
Y'all did a good job getting the city cleaned up really quick. So I know a lot of staff work in across departments, so it was really good for y'all to come together and get this thing done. Streets and transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Highlighting the report for the month of August, on the admin side, we rented out the community building 6 times. Our fleet maintenance division completed 87 work orders through preventative and corrective maintenance. Street division has wrapped up, in August we wrapped up our LMIG work with the exception of striping scheduled on those streets as well as some other streets throughout the city, starting hopefully the end of this week. The storm put that crew, had them set back a few weeks as well, so they're scheduled to come in hopefully by the end of this week, if not this week, first of next. We're almost to the end of the tunnel on the sidewalk project on Church Street. We got about 3, maybe 4 more pours out there, and we'll be to the city limits there. Moving into our sign and markings division, it's 46 units of work completed there and 93 in the building maintenance division, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
Any questions for Jeremiah? Thank you. Water, sewer, gas, and stormwater. Rodney.
Thanks, Mayor. You'll notice I've changed my reports this month. These are the ones that Electric Cities of Georgia does for Brian and myself each month. So I've added those to the list. If you got any questions on those, I'll be more than happy to try to answer those. Wanted to give you a few updates. We had the opening of the CDBG bids this past month. We'll talk about that again here in a few minutes. Also, we've completed the Hestertown Road gas main extension. We've also near completion of the water main extension on Mountain Creek Church Road. We also completed the Church Street, Bell Street storm. I don't know if any of you have been by there lately, but we've got a new pipe on the road and an extra inlet. Hopefully get some rain, we'll get to test that thing out. The gas jobs, Roosevelt and Highway 11 that you approved last month, should be starting here in a couple weeks. So you'll be hearing more about those. And then we had our Stormwater Expo September 21st at the training center. We had 90 people registered, only 65 actually showed up that day. Overall, it was a success. The vendors were very pleased with the outcome, and so we'll be doing another one of those next year. If you got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Economic development.
This month you'll see you have something in front of you so you can see and read along with me as reflect on what's been happening most recently in economic development. The majority of the report is focused around the GIC retreat and where we are with our housing efforts, because we just completed the 3rd retreat for our housing team in Athens on September 19th and 20th, and that's the report that you have attached there. It's the PowerPoint presentation. Every time we go, our housing team has to report out on our progress. So this is the report that we shared with everyone at the retreat. And then from the report, I listed here our new goals for the housing team when we did our planning sessions that we'll continue to kind of flesh out and figure out how we're going to achieve these. We're going to continue with our neighborhood cleanup days. There was a discussion about transitional housing. That is, if we start enforcing code and enforcing more taking care of blighted properties, is there a place for people to go in between locating to a permanent home or locating somewhere else? And I don't know if we have options like that, so our team wants to research that, see how other communities do that. Also would like to record our the recipients of the CHIP grant rehabilitations. We have 3 homes that are owner-occupied, low-income, being rehabilitated with those funds as we speak. And so once those get complete, we'd like to interview those and kind of be able to share those with the community. We are over halfway through the housing assessment. Of the 41,000 parcels that we're recording with the housing survey on the Kindles, we have recorded over 2,200 homes, parcels, living units so far. So that's starting to be mapped, and that is a tool that can hopefully inform all of you when it comes to budgeting discussions and planning, now that we can actually see on a map the condition of homes, the most common issues with the exterior appearance, just sidewalk survey of homes. Mostly around the city center is where we focused our priority areas. So we haven't done some of the neighborhoods farther out, really started from the center, the core, and kind of moving out. There's a screenshot of that housing map in the presentation that's attached. Also, we're about halfway through our participation in the GIC program, so now we'd like to expand our team and add more team members. This usually happens with communities as some roll off and you get more interest and things change, so now it's time to rebuild our housing team, as now we kind of figure out how we want to move forward. And then we also, I know that you all have discussed things like a blight tax, and we want to kind of package that and think of other tools that would go along with that as you consider that in the future, such as a CDB grant for rehab cost sharing with investor properties, USDA home rehab tools, land bank authorities, just kind of look at other cities, and when they do that, they don't just do it alone, but do it with other tools that really help citizens if you all decide to move forward in that direction. In our report, we just mentioned where we are with our housing assessment, the low-income housing tax credit projects that we had to kind of process and decide through, and as a team, kind of articulate what kind of project we would support as a team. And then the main event that we celebrated was our Community Impact Day and Housing Expo that was in July. And that was very successful. And there's pictures in there you can see. We had great participation. Great partner was the Walton Barrow Board of Realtors for that event. And we look forward to partnering with them more. The other things I just listed on there are ongoing economic development projects, and tried to kind of mention some of the business growth that maybe wasn't reported or we wouldn't pick up in just our business license. So some things, don't want to duplicate what code already reports, but there's just some changes there in business growth. And then we have a lot of events that we do and coordinate, so our upcoming events are listed there as well. Be happy to answer any questions you may have about any of these items.
Sadie, on the tax credit, the apartments, well, when is that award to be made?
It should be this fall. Only one project was submitted in the application process, only from Monroe. I know we considered two and we talked through two potential projects, but only one was actually turned into the state. And so we should hear that this fall. I know there was a delay and a lot of decisions with other grants. Maybe it's delayed this just because of the hurricane. It's hard to get together the boards and the staff to evaluate it. But hopefully we'll hear something soon. They would communicate to the developer, and then they would communicate to us.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Sadie.
Thanks.
All right, that ends our department reports. Now we'll move into our committee information, finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one item on the agenda this evening. It's the purchase of Tyler Technologies financial software, and I believe Mr. Bailey can take that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As you all know, we went through a fairly extensive process of placing bids out, requests for proposals on February 6th, and proposals were submitted on March 8th. We received 6 for the financial services, and we spent the first couple of months reviewing, basically everybody reading through all the proposal packages and taking a look at what each company had to offer, what their benefits were, what essentially the pros and cons of it. And then we narrowed that down to 3 vendors. We spent June and July actually having in-house demos of those 3 selected vendors through our rating system and evaluation. And they came in, presented their software, showed us what everything could do, kind of compared it to what we already have a little bit, things that it could do above and beyond. We were able to narrow it down to BS&A and Tyler Technologies at the end of July through another evaluation. August and September, we spent time going on on-site visits to actual cities, municipalities that had similar functions to what we were looking for, and just kind of talk with the people that actually use it. And through that whole assessment, Tyler Technologies came out big on utility billing. Some other features, BS&A, Tyler, both scored about equal on evaluation. In the end, we selected Tyler based on our visits, and then the cost of it was roughly $130,000 less. So with that, along with the utility billing side and some other features, that was why we decided to choose Tyler. So we're requesting the expense be $300,617 to replace currently what we have. It should be anywhere from about a 12 to a 15-month implementation process to get them on board and basically kind of transfer our system as it exists into the new one. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
In looking at the bid check sheet
Yes,
that was
sir.
in here, the question I had was on 2 areas. On the general financials, does this one give us the same kind of capability as the one that's more expensive, and with the accounts payable side? I'm sorry, HR side, human resources side.
Yes, sir.
On both of those?
Yes, sir. They're both, as far as an actual system and software, they're both very equivalent to one another. Certain tweaks and differences between the two, but both have the ability. The thing we liked about Tyler is it has a user system that's essentially across the country that you can, if there's a form or a function that we don't have that we're looking for, you can basically type in that you're looking for it, and all the other cities that have it will send it to you, so you can then make small changes to it and you can implement it. So yeah, the functionality's there, and it creates basically a nationwide help desk.
Mr. Bradley, I'm happy with either of the systems, and Tyler Technologies is probably the largest government software company in the country, and they have a lot of other users in the state, other ECG cities, so a lot of what we do has already been tested throughout other similar municipalities.
Good.
Any other questions?
Hearing none, I need a motion to present to the full council the purchase of the Tyler Technologies financial software.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll present to the full council next week. That's all we have on finance, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Does airport have anything? Don't think so. Okay, Public Works?
Yes, we have a couple of items, Mayor. First one's on the West Spring Street streetscape and sidewalk, project. I'm not sure who's going to take this one. Logan? Or Chris?
Yeah, I'll start out. And
For clarity, I'll give it to Chris.
Okay. All right. The West Spring Street sidewalk streetscape project, we received bids. We actually only received 2 bids, with the low bid being $2.368 million. That's to do the sidewalks. Also included an alternate paver bid. There was an alternate tree planting bid, and then a lighting bid that was provided as well, which is where the $2.368 million comes from. Through negotiations and talks with the low bidder, and then working with Keckenwood, we came to basically the determination after talking with the contractor, and I think, it's pending their agreements with all of this, that the paver bid, if we change the design slightly, we could save approximately $105,000 from what was bidded. So it takes that total, if you'll follow, from $267,000 to $162,000. The tree planting bid, we felt that we could do either using ECG's contracting crew or in-house crews, and we could do that for approximately $33,000 less to save additional money. And then the lighting bid, we can actually do in-house for approximately $200,000, which is roughly $250,000 less than what was provided by CMES. So what we're asking for is to proceed based on the change order from that $2.368 million to the final construction contract after all the changes to be $1,938,916.40. And that accounts for all of the change orders and deductions from CMES. I'd be happy to take any questions.
And Chris, did they give us a timeline?
That might be something Logan can.
Yeah, it's pending council approval next week. They will get started right away. Don't have an exact timeline of completion. Hopefully less than a year is what I've been told originally, but there's a lot of drainage work involved, so a lot of that has to do with weather. But hopefully we can get this done within a year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Other questions?
Logan, did y'all get the lighting issue squared away?
We did. We're going to do that lighting in-house, which is going to save us a substantial sum of money over what contractors would charge. Also, by doing it in-house or paying for it from SLOSS fund, we're allowed to do less lights, which saves us some additional funds. So we'll have 62 total lights, and Brian's electric crew will be instrumental in getting this done.
What was the number of first proposed of lights?
It was around 136, I believe.
So you think the 62 is adequate?
The 62 should be adequate. It would be easy to go back and add some pole lights down the stretch should we need to increase the lighting in some dim spots.
Okay.
We do have that pole line down through there, Ms. Malcolm, that makes it real easy to add a Cobra head type light in there, but 62 is more than adequate for pedestrian lighting.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to recommend this to the council?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve to the full council the low bid construction contract to CMES Incorporated in the amount of $2,368,916.40, contingent upon the execution of subsequent change orders for the base bid and alternate bids.
Do we have a second? I'll second it then.
Was that number?
I thought that number was
supposed to be 1.9. Logan, is that correct?
Well, that's correct. We have to approve the original low bid, but as Wayne said, contingent upon the subsequent change orders.
Just want to make that clear because we heard two figures. So,
That's right.
So you
We have to
approve.
approve the original low bid and then the subsequent change orders as well.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries, so we will recommend that to the full council. We also have from Public Works a purchase of a new truck, so Danny, could you speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Yeah, we're requesting to purchase 2018 Kenworth truck with a Galbraith roll-off horse at $158,049 to replace a 1990 truck that has died. We built the truck in 1990 and has an engine that can't replace parts for, and it's just inoperable right now. The truck will be purchased through the NJPA, the National Junk Piles Alliance, according to their bidding guidelines and their policies. The truck is used for residential and commercial customers. We use it for all the city departments, hauling metal, trash, and anything else that is kind of overweight, storm debris, storm cleanup if necessary, and community special events. I take any question that you might have. Right now, we currently rent a truck for $6,300 a month from Premier Trucking. I take any questions that you might have.
What's the difference in getting a 2017 and getting a 2018?
A few price differences, but the National Alliance do all the bidding. You don't have to bid for the truck, so that's a pretty good price for a newer model that has a lot more to offer than maybe getting a 17. This truck, the rental company we rent from, their price is $200,000. Their purchase price.
I might point out that I've had a conversation with Smith and also with Logan in looking at the cost of this truck of $158,000. We had the conversation as to whether or not this is something we wanted to continue to purchase and maintain and operate versus contracting out for this type of service. And I think, you know, and Danny's given me some information, Logan's got some additional information that they're both still recommending that this does make economic sense for us to replace the truck and provide this function that we do, mainly because of all the internal needs of this from the various departments, from the electrical department, et cetera, and others. But, so that's where that stands at this point. But any other questions? Okay. Anyone from the committee would like to make a motion to recommend this to the full council?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We will recommend that to the full council. Mr. Mayor, that's what we have.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first item is the purchase of gas materials for the estates at Dean Hill Farms. Mr. Millbrooks.
Thank you, Mr. Little. We were approached by Rodney McCart with Alcovey Builders. He purchased a large tract of land out on Dean Hill Road off Monroe, Jersey. He's got 11 estate lots. I think it's 5 acres up to 12 to 15 acres. I think it's one of them. Anyway, he's asked for us to extend gas to him. This will also provide us a loop from our Monroe, Jersey road feed over to our Alcovey Mountain road feed. So 2 benefits, 1 customers, but 2 volume and pressure improvements. And I've attached the contract to the back of this as well. The low bid, which only had 1 bid turned in, was Consolidated Pipe and Supply for $26,900.95. That's material only, and we'll provide the labor. If you got any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
Ronnie, from the standpoint of the new development, does this have a estimated payback time?
We don't, just not really sure how fast he's going to build and sell. The contract does state that he's actually putting additional beyond what the contract's asking, but it'd be hard to say. Just not sure how fast they'll sell.
So the contract is for gas cooktop, hot water heater?
He's going to do furnace, cooktop, hot water heater, logs, and had mentioned of doing the outdoor
gas
fireplace
grill.
or grill. So he's actually adding about 2 to 3 extra gas appliances to the houses. So it'll be a good gas load for residential.
Right.
And these houses are in the 300s. So.
And up, yeah.
What do you estimate the labor is going to be?
It'll be a 3-week project for us. I'd have to run the numbers.
Any other questions for Rodney?
Is there likelihood, can we pick up additional customers?
We can. Once we get it in, we'll notify all the remaining people on the road there. And,
Now, will it go all the way out to Alcovey Lakes?
Well, we're actually already in Alcovey Lakes now.
So you'll just tie in?
But we'll tie in. It actually goes out towards the mountain.
Oh, okay.
So we'll actually tie in on that end of Dean Hill and then tie in on the Monroe, Jersey side.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase from Consolidated Pipe and Supply in the amount of $26,900.95, that we recommend that to the council for approval.
Is there a second? I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They're opposed? We recommend the purchase of those materials to full council.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the 2016 CDBG Grant Construction Bid Award for the 5th and 6th Street projects. You going to take that, Mr. Bell?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Little. We had our bid opening back on September the 20th for the 5th and 6th Street CDBGs. This is going to be a water, sewer, and storm, along with curb and gutter and paving of the roads. The low bid was the Dickerson Group. $1,649,923. We knew that was above what we had, the prices came in way above what we had planned. After talking with Deborah and Carl both, they said they all were coming in that way. I guess the contractors are busy again with development and all starting to take off. So price was a little higher. So we met with the contractor on the 26th to try to negotiate that price down. And we were able to lower it $508,735, and that was the price of the water line. And what we will do is the city water department will install the water lines for this project along with the contractor. Will work beside him to save that money. So with the change order and all, the price would be $1,141,188. And just a reminder too, half a million of this is grant. It's a CDBG grant. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Millbrook? Is there a motion?
Chairman, I'll make a motion, and this is going to be similar to one we did a few minutes ago with the change order, because I'm going to make it's like a joint motion for the approval of this quote as well as the change order, all in one motion. And that's to make a motion to approve the low bid construction contract from the Dickerson Group in the amount of $1,649,923 and approve the subsequent change order bid total of $1,141,188. So the total cost of this would be the $1.1 million.
Thank you. Is there a second? I second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We recommend that to full council.
Thank you.
Next item is the approval of internet packages. Are you going to handle that,
That's
Mr.
me. Thank you, Mr. Little. As y'all are aware, y'all approved the purchase of an Aris C4 CMTS cable modem controller several months ago. The installation was complete about July, and over the past few months, we have been testing internet packages to see the impact to the system. What you have in front of you is an internet tiered package with 6 tiers. Right now we have 5. If the existing tiers would get an average increase of 70% on their download speed and 220% on their upload speed, with an added tier of 100 by 10 as the 6th tier, no increase in pricing to any of the existing tiers would be experienced. And I'll take any question you may have. We have tested this thoroughly over the past few months, and it will have very little, if any, impact to the overall fiber network that it rides on back to Atlanta.
So if somebody wants something really fast,
they can go to the tier 6.
They can pay $130 a month to get it, right?
Yes, sir. And then once we get the fiber to the premise project going, it'll even be faster than that. And that should be in the next month or two.
Well, most of our residential customers using like this tier 2, which
Tier
is
3.
6 megabytes. Tier 3?
Tier 3.
Okay, 15 megabytes.
Most of your tier 4 and tier 5, you've got some residences using tier 4. You've got very few using tier 5. Most of the tier 5, and then I expect the tier 6 will be businesses. But the majority of our customers across the board are in tier 3. Now with tier 1, you've got that for the person that just wants to do a little internet browsing, some emailing, and that's about it. But they can't really do a lot of streaming on that. Then you get into tier 2, and that's, single person or family of a husband and a wife who can do enough streaming for those two. But once you get into that with HD streaming, you've got to have a little faster package. So tier 3 is where the majority of our families sit.
But if it's a family that wants something where they're kids doing their homework and not doing any streaming,
Tier 1 would work
they
perfect.
could do $21.95 a month.
Yes, sir.
and get that kind of internet service.
Yes, sir.
All right, is there any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I move we recommend to the full council approval of this proposed packages.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. There's a motion. Is there a second? I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We will present the new internet packages to council for approval. One more item is the approval of the Pollock subdivision electrical system rebuild. Mr.
Yes, sir, that'd be me again. This is in line with what we did on the Davis Lacey Street project a little bit back. The Pollock subdivision electrical infrastructure was built when those homes were built, which was, I would say, the early 70s, late 60s. It's got copper wiring, which is very weak. And what we did with this overall multi-year project is look at areas of town where we're having the most calls, the most outages. And initially that was the Davis Lacey Street area. And once we did the rebuild in there with the stronger, more efficient ACSR one-off conductor, our call numbers in that area have dropped to little or nothing. Pollock subdivision's next in line. We had most of the trouble for the storm we had was in that area because of the weak wire and the weak older pole structures. So we did a seal bid on the labor, and that came back with over and under contractors at $147,398. Ace Pole Company was the low bid on the poles at $10,728. Material for the wire, connectors, assorted transformers was Irby at $31,289.20. And then we would be using our contract right-of-way crew through ECG to spend a couple of weeks over there cleaning up the trees, cutting out some old dead limbs that are in the way. And that was $10,000 for a total of $199,415.20. And I'll take any questions you may have.
And you had budgeted?
$300,000.
Okay.
We hope to have, we have a couple of more projects, underground projects designed. If we can get those bid out and done quickly before the end of the year, we'll go ahead and get those done. This is a ongoing project. I would assume, looking at our recent call numbers, the Carwood Drive area would be next, and then we would probably jump over to the Hickory Drive area. I'm just trying to get the areas where we're having the most calls, the most outages, and get those first, and then you'll work through the whole system.
And this will be funded through our capital improvements fund?
Yes, sir.
Is there any more questions? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the full council approval of this with using the suppliers Irby, Ace Pole Company, ECG, and a contractor of over and under contractors to complete this project. And the total cost of all people, $199,415.20.
Is there a second? I second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We will recommend that purchase to full council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Public safety.
Mayor, we've got one item on public safety tonight. The Public Safety Department is asking for approval for a Walton County School Resource Officer Program Agreement for Foothills Charter. And Chief Glass, you want to tell us about it?
Is Logan still on the phone?
He is.
Logan, you want to talk the dollar part, and then I'll talk personnel, or?
Yeah, certainly. So real quickly, this is an IPA with the Board of Education for Foothills Charter School so that we can install school resource officers in the evening school. I've been back and forth with Foothills Charter and the Board of Education to get an appropriate dollar amount that would cover our officers. Some of whom will have overtime rate by the time they get there. And we settled on $24,600, which will cover that cost for 1 year of the Foothills Charter School at 164 days. We currently been operating on the honor system. We didn't want to leave them hanging without any protection at the school. So as soon as this is passed, they'll go ahead and send us a check for that $24,600 amount.
Okay, thank you. And after talking with Logan and our staff, the best way we could do it is to have folks do it in a sometime overtime status. If we put somebody in it, at best it'd be a part-time job. And, you know, we always have issues about the AHA Act and what is a part-time person and what is not a part-time person. How do you secure the kind of quality person that you want to do this job in a part-time status becomes an issue. This is a pilot project. It may change by next year, and during the summertime, I think we'll have time to reflect and see exactly what we need. This is something that kind of got started talking about over the summer into it. It wasn't something that was projected way out. You know, right now we have a couple officers that's handling most of it. They're one of them's our current SRO, and the other one's Lieutenant Lawson, Officer Harrison, and Lieutenant Lawson. They have the right mentality, they have the right attitudes to help make this successful. It's a program that I think will benefit a lot of students that, for whatever reason, have a hard time being successful in the general school environment. This seems to be working for a lot of students, and we want to be a part of it and help them be successful doing it.
Chief, I'm not on that committee, but if I could ask a question. Two questions, I guess. The first one is, what we're looking at tonight and what we're voting on next week, if this goes to the full council, is just the agreement with the school system. Is that correct?
Right.
The staffing is a separate issue. I mean, you're going to staff it however you need to staff it, I would say.
Yes, sir.
All right. On the staffing side, just a couple of questions, I guess. One is, as a school resource officer, and I'm not an expert on education, but would they not prefer, or would it not make more sense from a student perspective to have a single SRO for them to relate to and deal with?
It would be good to keep a limited number. One would be ideal, but Mr. Bradley, the challenge you have there is, where do I get this one perfect person that wants to work 20 hours a week?
And I understand that.
So that's a big challenge.
So my second question would be, though, if we have that kind of a need and we have other needs, if this council wanted to approve a full-time position with half of it going 20 hours here and 20 hours someplace else, would you be open to that?
You know, I'll be open to it, but when we start talking about staffing issues, my major commitment right now to staffing issues is going to be uniform patrol and CID folks and technology folks that we have a hard need that we'll be talking about, you know, in the coming budget talks. If we wanted to do something where somebody was committed half a job there and half a job there, I think it brings some challenges to it. I think the ideal thing was if we could find a candidate, you know, with past SRO experience. If we had a Captain Mike Matthews that's physically able and wanted to do this thing part-time, or James Vaughn, or there's some people I can think of. If we can find that kind of quality person, you know, I think it's great to go with a part-time guy. And again, the challenge there is to get that quality. You may have to do what you would be suggesting is having it full-time, but broke down that way. Where is it something that I think's possible that we could look at having somebody come in and work 4 hours doing something else, traffic or whatever, and then go do that for 4 hours? I think it's workable, but right now what we got is a pilot project, and we need to kind of feel out how it's going to work and what kind of challenges it'll bring with it. But I think those are good questions.
Chief, your department will be able to, are you keep a handle on the cost of this from our perspective, since a lot of it will be overtime?
Yeah, and I think, and again, money, Logan's, I think he's had to calculate it pretty much, and he's taken in consideration, we've taken in consideration, you know, the kind of dollars, if it is overtime and when it's overtime. If I'm wrong, Logan, tell me, but I think you took all that in consideration, correct?
That's right. We took the average overtime salary rate of the officers and took into account the payroll taxes that are based on that. So I think we'll be roughly break even, which is what we should be doing to assist the Board of Education.
And just the foothill portions of it, you know, my mindset, the ideal thing was have the officer work part-time for them, but where they're at right now, they don't want to be in the business of keeping up with payroll for an officer. So what we're doing is in good faith trying to help Walton County Board of Education make this a successful project. So I asked your support on it.
Any other discussion?
I make the motion that we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Mayor, we'll bring this to full council next week.
Thank you.
That's all we have for public safety.
All right. Economic development, you have anything? Okay. Patrick, we have any items coming up for public hearing next week?
We do not.
Okay. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I hate to, can I have Lieutenant Davis introduce one of our newest officers to the...
Love for him to.
LT.
Come on up front.
Come on, come on. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, this is Officer Shannon Haynes. He's one of our local residents here in Monroe, and we're proud to have him here with the Monroe Police Department. He just graduated the academy last week 4?
No, 22nd of September.
September the 22nd. So now he's in our field training program, riding with me and learning and training to be the finest Monroe police officer that we have next to me.
Officer Haynes was a leader. Officer Haynes was a leader in his class and got recognition during graduation, and we're awfully proud to have him here with us. And I'm sorry for the interruption, but
no problem.
I saw him back here and thought it'd be a good time to introduce him.
Congratulations, you're part of one of the state's best police departments, so. All right, any other business we need to take care of before we adjourn? Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.